are able to attract more talent, have more mature systems. So the idea of fewer pots and fewer funds will lead to a greater, stronger system.
Talk to us about your approach when it comes to illiquid assets. It's something that you do very well. It's something that the UK government wants to be doing very well, but there's a real hesitation to get near it because of how risky it can be. How do you navigate that?
I think it's very important. I think the broad idea is an important one. The idea that pension funds invest in illiquid assets. There's a very good match, actually, between the asset and liability of an illiquid asset. You need to manage liquidity a great deal more and much more sharply. We've got some advantages in the sense that we're growing with net cash flow. It's harder when you're shrinking and net outflows, but I think that the government's right to be encouraging funds to be thinking more and more about this, as long as they manage their liquidity well and think about creating long-term value.
So if you're talking then about the fact that you're growing, you have all these inflows, is any of that being deployed to private credit? Is that something on your radar?
Yep. Yeah, no, we have a private credit team here in London and a very well-established team in Australia. You know, the thing about private credit from mine is just watching for defaults, and as economies slow down, that can be a heightened risk.
What's your time frame on that?
To be more precise about your question, if you mind.
Yeah, your time frame. When are you expecting kind of a wave of those defaults, a wave of those cracks? At a time when so many people have that exposure to private credit, we're waiting for that liquidity.
Yeah, I think I understand. I think once you're seeing double-digit returns, then you see money pour in, then people get pushed up the risk curve, and then it starts to get dangerous. So I think we're just cautious.
So that caution's there. You have that long-term horizon. Rates, obviously, we know, elevated. We're waiting for when we get more clarity on when they come down. But is there a black swan event? I mean, kind of following on Kritti's point, how are you thinking about the potential black swan in this high rate environment? Even if you have that longer-term view, how are you looking to mitigate that?
Yeah, so we spent last year thinking that something bad was about to happen. We spent most of last year de-risked a little and thinking that you've got a historic rise in rates across the globe.
Yeah.
And usually something breaks, right? Usually when central banks very aggressively embark on a path, something breaks. But if you look at the market now, they're sort of pricing in a softer landing and that the rates will return. But that's a little unsettling, I think, when everybody seems to be quite, relaxed about that. From our point of view, we probably got last year wrong. We thought something bad was going to happen more quickly. We're thinking maybe that's less likely to happen now, but we look at this year more about sort of muddling along than that disaster occurring. But we've just got to be very thoughtful about the outlook, keep being vigilant about that, and valuations.
Yep.
Buy things at the wrong price, get yourself in a lot of trouble.
Paul, I'm sitting here, I'm mesmerised by what you're saying, but I'm also mesmerised by the tie.
Ah, fantastic.
Talk me through the tie.
Serious tie envy.
I'd love to. Well, I wore this deliberately because it's an Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander print.
Yeah.
And I thought, here I am in London, I better pay respects to our traditional custodians over 65,000 years.
Yeah.
But it was sewn by a colleague, so I'm delighted to. And it's Australian Super Orange as well.
The Aussies are here today.
How do we follow that?
You can't follow that tie, believe you me.
Stay tuned for what Tom and Guy wear tomorrow.
Thanks.
Setting the standards high.
I'm never going to be able to match that. Maybe his tie's off. Maybe that's the that's the only way to.
No, veto.
Are we taking a close-up yet of the tie? We need to take a close-up.
I'm delighted to help you there.
Yeah.
There's the tape.
There it is.
There's the tie.
Thanks very much.
It's fantastic. Great to see you. I can't believe we've had two Aussies. Basically, there's an Aussie back end to this show, which is fantastic.
We're coming out on Waltz and Matilda, aren't we? We're going to have a bit of sound up.
Well, as long as we don't talk about sport, everything else is fine.
Well, we're in the same camp, I think, when it comes to England.
The sport, yeah, precisely. We'll talk about Aussie rugby. We'll talk about English rugby. There's some good football over the weekend. Anyway, great to see you. Thanks for stopping. Come back again. It'll be fantastic to see you. I know you're going to be spending much more time in town now that you've got such a big team being built here. Paul, nice to see you. Paul Schroeder, the Chief Executive of the Australian Super Pension Fund. OK, what are we going to be talking about next? You've kind of got the idea. It's a quiet start to this week. But up next, we're going to be talking more about what the week ahead holds us. We've got some incredible events coming up later this week. I can't work out if it's a policy week or a rates week. We'll talk about that next. Coming up, plenty more conversations. We've got them in the next hour as well. Citigroup Chief Client Officer David Livingston is going to be joining shortly. Plus, we're going to speak to the CEO. I'm never quite sure how to say this. Zoetis? Anyway, it's the largest producer of pet medication. And we're going to be talking about Illy Coffee. That is definitely one of my favourite subjects. Francine's got a great show lined up.
The world needs ways to reduce carbon emissions.
ExxonMobil can help.
We're working on solutions for our business
that can also help businesses like yours.
Heavy industry with low emissions. Let's deliver.
Everyone's talking about AI. But how can it help your business? Can it make chatbots act like your very own personal assistant? Yes. Put AI to work with ServiceNow.
After last month's massive solar flare added a 25th hour to the day, businesses are wondering, what should we do?
I'm thinking company-wide power nap.
Anything can change the world of work. From HR to payroll, ADP designs for the next anything.
What happened here?
AI. Do we know who's getting AI right?
With HPE GreenLake, we have access to supercomputing to power AI at scale.
Helping to give us better insights.
Helping leave our competition in the dust.
Make a pit stop at Raising Cane's and satisfy your craving for hand-battered, cooked-to-order chicken fingers, even faster when you order online or with the app.
Raising Cane's chicken fingers, one love.
China, it's become a necessity, I believe, to be more resilient against these geopolitical tensions. And while finding it out the hard way through the past 2 years during the pandemic, and what I mean with the hard way is that we've all seen how key industries in Europe and the US, especially in the industrial, medical, and automotive sectors, have suffered from a shortage of semiconductors.
Welcome to the world of decentralized finance.
You can see the massive gains for the OG crypto coin.
The breakout we have all perhaps long awaited finally realized. We'll see if it sticks.
Bloomberg's covering all things crypto, the people.
There's no question its industry is composed of some bad actors and some good actors.
The transactions.
Volumes have surpassed $24 billion per day.
And the technology.
Stop talking about the technology, start demonstrating the utility.
Bloomberg Crypto, Tuesdays.
Next time on The Deal.
I realized a long time ago that being a football player or an athlete, you can get into a room, but once you get in the room, you have to prove that you belong there. But what keeps you in the room, right? It's your talent. It's the talent that a lot of people don't see or don't think you have because they've only seen you in one way. And for me, the biggest pivot was getting out of my own way, telling myself that I'm more than just a football player.